Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, February 11th, 2025. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden. You're watching The Big Show, Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call today, see what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, why? What have you heard?
I can't tell you. It's a secret. It's an open investigation.
What a way to start the show. How have you been?
That's right. Rumors right away, just flying right now.
Oh, that'd be great. We should just
we get some good questions like we did last week.
Yeah, that was interesting a little bit. Good morning, Dirk. And by the way, I need to apologize to Dirk. So I forgot to put it on our show flow. For some reason, it wasn't on there. So I forgot to put Dirk's weather forecast at the end of the show. So
and no one knew it was going to snow, and then it snowed, and now we...
Just because of that. Yeah. Yes, it is cold out there. Good morning, Sharon.
Yeah, freezing out there. Good day to be inside. Hopefully we stay that way.
That's what I say every day. It's a good day to be inside.
That's right.
So obviously we talk about sports at the very beginning. Wow, we have something big to talk about. Obviously the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the three facets of a Super Bowl: the game itself, then the commercials, and then the halftime show.
Okay.
Let's start with the game itself. What rating would you give that? We'll do like a A, B, C, D, E, F. What grade would you give the game itself?
I would give it a B. I think it was a good game. It was lopsided, but it was a good game. I thought everybody, they got a lot of pressure. Mahomes got sacked a lot. I think it was a good game. It was fun.
Wow. I'm surprised. I give it a D.
Why?
It wasn't, it was over halfway through the first quarter. And it wasn't just because of the score. It was so obvious that the Philadelphia had a much better game plan. At no point did I feel like it was going to be really competitive. Or, if you're a Philadelphia fan, great. Or if you don't like the Chiefs, fine. But in terms of just, it didn't keep me engaged. It was like, it was maybe a C. I'll give it a C. It was an average game. But for a Super Bowl, it wasn't that great.
Yeah. I think there was defense. I like when defense wins games. I think that's important. I think defense won that game. So I think they stopped the run. They stopped Barkley. I thought that was impressive. But man, did the defense just go after Mahomes? Didn't look like he was lost and confused out there for the first time ever.
I saw on Monday morning, after the morning after the Super Bowl, I was reading an article and it blew me away. That and maybe everybody knows this, that the Philadelphia Eagles didn't blitz one time.
I know, I read that. It sure didn't seem like it.
It sure didn't seem like it. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes would probably be surprised by that. I'm like, man, I felt like everybody was coming after me that whole game. Yeah. All right, so what about the commercials? I texted you after the first quarter and said, man, these commercials, what? These are just like regular commercials. This is, what's going on? But the second quarter commercials got great. Then all of a sudden it turned around. But what do you think about the commercials? What grade would you give that? I'd give it a B plus.
Yeah, I'll give it a B. I didn't think they were that great because I agree with you. They were regular commercials. There was only a couple good ones in the first quarter. And then they got a little bit better, but they weren't spectacular, but they were good. I thought the Doritos one, I thought the Michelob Ultra one where they were playing pickleball, I thought that was really good. So, they weren't spectacular. The Budweiser one with the horse everybody loves. Nothing spectacular.
Solid B. No, I didn't see the second half commercials because I went to bed after the second half. Or when the second half started. I think I watched the first Chiefs offense. I'm like, okay, you go into halftime, you have to make adjustments.
Right.
And they came out, and it was like a 3-and-out right away. I'm like, and done, I'm going to bed. I think that's what I texted you. I'm like, whatever, I'm turning off, I'm going to bed. I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah.
So then, speaking of, and by the way, good morning, Wayne. So halftime.
Yeah.
What grade would you give that?
It depends on your...
What grade would you give it?
I would... I would give it a C.
Me too.
That's not me. I thought it was good. but I'm not into that music, but some kids love it. I saw a parent on Facebook my kid came out of his room and sat and watched the whole halftime with me. So I'll take that any day
That's
of the week. I
awesome.
get my kid, so it depends on the age of you. I think there could be a better, but, I
Well, there's two
think
ways to
next
look
week,
at it, right? There's the what grade would we give it and how, like, what we thought. But then there's also the question of, was that a good choice for the Super Bowl?
right.
Was that the best one? I understand there's Kendrick Lamar is considered one of the most brilliant artists of this generation. I can appreciate that, right? I don't listen to a lot of it, but I listen to all kinds of music. But when I have to read the next day of here are all the meanings behind and the hidden meanings and the messages behind, I'm like, all right, if I have to read stories about a song or something like that, I'm too stupid to enjoy this, right? I just am. I just want to be entertained.
I
And it
just
wasn't
want to
very
be
entertaining to me. It wasn't about
right.
the music style or anything. But I don't know. I kind of feel like I just want to know one of the songs. Like, Katy Perry was on, didn't she do a halftime show a few years ago? At least I knew a couple of the songs. I'm not a
Right.
Katy Perry fan, but I know a couple of them. Bruce Springsteen, I know some of these songs.
Right. It's
I
like
don't know.
going to any music festival. You're only going to know two or three of the songs. You might know them all or heard of them, but you really only know the words to three of them.
Yeah,
So I think, I say Taylor Swift next year. I think she needs to do it. I think there's some people that should be doing the halftime show that would entertain.
that's what I'm looking for. Just
Right.
entertain me. And it wasn't all that entertaining. It wasn't the music style or the genre. That part, I don't care. And even if I don't know any of them, fine. But if it's like, oh my goodness, that was a production. I understand that. They put a lot of work into it. Just wasn't all that entertained by it. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, yeah, I like when there's two or three people too. It's not the same person's music. It's
Yeah.
give me, the 70s, 80s, and the 90s or whatever,
Yeah.
one from
Yeah.
each. Or I suppose we should go to the 80s,
Taylor,
90s, and 2000s.
Taylor, well, right. Taylor Swift would be a good one. Again, I don't listen to any music, but
Right.
I've heard her songs, and I'm assuming she would put on a good show.
I think there's people like that they need to go after, and I
For
don't
a
think
broader audience.
right, right.
I
They
mean, you
need
have
to go
kids from 8 to 80 watching this thing.
right,
How many people even know? I don't know. It was an interesting choice.
Yep.
It
Or
is what it
have
is.
two singers, and but yeah, it was like you said. I think it was a C across the board. Probably if you wanted to average them all together, it's a C or C plus for the total
Yeah.
package.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have some things to get to. We'll do that in 15 seconds after a word from Spooner Health.
Spooner Health, compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
All right. Just a couple quick hits here. So Congressman Tom Tiffany will be on our show this Thursday. He comes on every Thursday. I think, I don't really look that far ahead. I don't really start kind of creating a show flow or what we want to talk about until like an hour before the show. But I kind of got a funny feeling we're going to have a lot to talk about on Thursday. There's so many things going on. And also, I'd said last week on the show that we're going to have DPI State Superintendent candidate Brittany Kinzer on for a live show that Friday. Thursday, I talked to their, handler, person, whatever, and just kind of confirming everything. And it's, well, could we keep it a little bit shorter? I'm like, nope. Like, it's 45 minutes to an hour and we have a candidate on. That's just how it works. But the reason is because she was losing her voice. She had done a forum. She did other things. And I'm like, well, it's fine if we just, move it to next Friday. Like, I have no problem if it's that, but we're not going to adjust the style of the show, the long-form conversation show. And, actually, that would be perfectly fine because it's not that she wouldn't want to. It's she was losing her voice. So that will be this Friday now. So Congressman Tiffany on Thursday and Brittany Kinzer. Boy, that election's...
Tuesday.
Oh,
next
wow.
week.
Coming
A
out
week
really late.
from, I think a week from Tuesday.
A week
right?
from... A week... I think it's a week from today.
Well, a week from today. It'd be a week from today. You're correct. Yeah, next Tuesday
Oh, wow.
is the election. So
Papers. Who's going to be on the... so it'll be the DPI. What else is
That's
on
it.
the...
that's it. And it's just the narrow it down to two candidates. So if there's could be a school board race. I'm not saying.
Oh, that's what I mean. Is there...
If there's three people running, it gets narrowed down to two.
Yeah. Yeah, I just meant, is there anything other than that race that's going to be on the ballot in a week from today?
it would depend on your local elections. Could be a school board, a city council. If there's 3 people running for 1 seat, it would narrow it down. So it depends on where you live. But yeah, it won't be a big turnout.
Well, that'll be interesting. And I don't know anything about any of these candidates, so I figured I'll pay attention starting Friday when we'll have one of the candidates on. But I really wait till it gets down to the final 2, and that's when a lot more information will probably you'll start paying a little more attention to it. I think when then it gets down to those 2. So
yeah, which is then it's only a month away, and then it's city council, school boards, and DPI. So that's what's up there.
Well, it'd be April.
Well,
a month and a half away, right? Yeah.
Not much. It's much longer. So what I want to know is I should get a handler. You should have to talk to somebody to get me scheduled on your show.
What?
I want a handler.
Okay, yeah. I'll write that down. I'll put that down on the list of things that never going to happen. Never going to happen list.
I can get Dirk to be my handler. You got to go through Dirk.
Dirk. Hey, what does Fitzy think about this topic? I'll talk to him.
Yeah, I don't know if he can make it this Tuesday. So there's not much going on. This isn't a big show. So if anybody's got any questions, because there's been no press releases, it's cold. Snowmobile trails aren't open. That was the big topic. It snowed a lot. There were some crashes. Cars in the ditch on Saturday. Love snowstorms on the weekend because there isn't much traffic. So it does eliminate a lot of our workload when they happen on Saturday.
And doesn't interrupt schools. That's good.
Right. When there's no schools and no work, or a lot less work.
Right.
There's a lot of people that work on the weekends, but there's a lot less work. So not much going on there, except weather. But yeah, nothing from a law enforcement standpoint. Super cold out. Hopefully we don't go outside today. But yeah, not much going on. Just a couple meetings.
I have something. I actually have this graphic ready. So I saw it was on our headline news here this morning, and there was an article. What was it called? Hold on, I think I wrote it down. From record low, total number of police officers in Wisconsin ticks up 4%.
Right.
It was really an interesting thing, and there was even a graphic on here. So number of Wisconsin law enforcement officers total. But yeah, there was a huge, obviously 2020 that dropped down, and I believe there were several factors for that, but we can kind of put that under the quote unquote George Floyd when that happened, and of course there's a thing in Kenosha that happened. What was that guy's name? Jacob Blake, wasn't it?
Blake, yep.
I think so. And now it's going back up. So I certainly want to ask you your opinions on some of this stuff, and this is again looking at all of Wisconsin. But from what would you contribute to some of those things for? And in Barron County, are you seeing anything different?
Well, I don't think we ever trended down here in Barron County. No, so I don't think it was a local thing. I don't think we were short 1 or 2, which changes as a percentage. When Milwaukee's probably still down a couple hundred, if not more than a couple hundred, and so that 4% increase is what, a 300, 400, 500 increase in officers. Well, that's not many across the state when we were at 14,000 something on that, according to that graph. So locally, I don't see it. Some of our municipal police departments are down 1 or 2 people here or there. So it does contribute to it, but we're not seeing a huge, Cameron short 1 police officer. It looks like they're going to hire a police chief. I think Rice Lake's down 1 because that person came here. So I think they're down 1.
Figures,
yeah.
Spooner's wait a minute. When I should have probably asked you this before I asked you at a live show. I was talking to someone recently. I can't remember who it was. I thought Cameron. Is there any truth to Cameron being either combined with another department or absorbed into the sheriff's office? I swear somebody told me that recently.
We had a discussion with that, and it voted last night for
what?
Yeah, they voted last night. That's where I was at a meeting for Cameron, and they chose to go with the police chief.
Well, hold on. What were the options? What was being discussed or voted on?
Any option for any police department under the population of 5,000 is you don't have to have a police department. So, and the county has to absorb it, or you can have a police chief, or you can contract. So those are your options from a city councilor's, village board standpoint. And we gave those options to
I'm
Cameron.
sorry. Could you say those again? What were the options? I want to write this down.
So nothing. You don't have to have a police department. You can just disband the police department.
Wait, let's stop right there.
Yep.
Are you? So I'm going to put it like in Washburn County. So like the Shell Lake Police Department just says, and done. We're not going to have one anymore.
Correct.
That then falls on. So this isn't like an agreement between, all right, it costs, and I'm just making up these random numbers here. Don't hold me. I don't care what they are.
$1 million.
It's $500,000 a year for us to have a police department in Shell Lake. Again, I have no clue where that is.
Not that much.
But here's the thing: we'll absorb. You guys take. We will give you as a city $200,000 if that means work out something where give us a little more coverage in Shell Lake area. It saves the city money. $300,000 a year. We still get kind of the same coverage-ish, whatever. But there's kind of like a discussion there in an agreement. But I didn't know this, that you're actually saying that the Shell Police Department or Cameron or any under 5,000 could just say, done. And they don't have to give you money. You have to just absorb it.
Correct.
What?
Yeah. You can close if all the police departments in Barron County could close and they become the responsibility of the sheriff. And that means the responsibility of the sheriff's department. There's some equity sharing rules that the county would then tell the state that normally, again, we'll use Shell Lake. Washburn County could say Shell Lake normally spends $500,000 on a police department. We want the equitable sharing to that because you're not giving it back to the taxpayers. So you got to give us a percentage of that. And then because we have to hire more officers. So there's something that the state can do from don't quote me on equitable sharing. It's not equitable sharing. It's something to do with your taxes, and the county could ask it. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but you're right. You can do it with actually zero cost. So you could actually say, you know what, Shell Lake needs to save $500,000 to build a new road. We're going to close the police department and build the road. You can do that tomorrow.
Well, wait a minute. There is one thing, though. I was talking to Dave Wilson recently. It wasn't specifically about this, but it was whatever. And we're talking about police departments. And one of the, I don't remember what he called it. Like, I don't know if it's like a mandate, not mandate, but it's a law thing or something. But there's the evidence factor here. As a police department, you are the keeper of evidence. So
you just transfer that evidence.
That would just go to the sheriff's office then.
If there was evidence or cases, active cases, the sheriff's department and then assumes responsibility for all of that. So we do an audit, evidence room audit. All that evidence would then get moved here. It would be here so that in 7 years it would be destroyed or it would be used for a court case or whatever it was. So
all right, so they can do nothing. Happens. You can have an agreement. I thought there was a third option.
You can hire a police chief.
Okay. Now, would that mean you just have to have a police chief, but not actually any officers? Just like, because let's face it, a lot of this, and this is the part that people don't, I think, sometimes think about when we have those discussions. It's who's actually the ordinance person. I mean, are you really? Let's say there was a situation where a Shell Lake or a Cameron or whatever just said, "Screw it, we're shutting down," or even if it was an agreement, that's fine. But who's handling the ordinances? Because the last time I remember, my father, Dryden, sheriff, obviously 28 years. He said, that's fine. If anybody wants us to absorb, pay us money, we'll have more coverage, blah, blah, blah. But we're not doing ordinances. Like, hire your own ordinance officer or something, but we don't touch that stuff.
That's correct. Like a junk vehicle or a noise ordinance, or it depends on whatever ordinance, the length of your grass ordinance. Excuse me. That can't be handled by a sheriff's department unless we have that ordinance in place. Sheriff's departments don't have many ordinances in place.
Okay, so Cameron met last night and to make their decision, and
they're going to go with the police chief. I believe it was 4-3 to go.
Oh wow, 4-3.
Yeah, 5-2, 4-3, something like
that.
We had some support. I understand why because just for that reason, ordinances, having your own police car driving around, having the authority to say, that. So understand why it happens. Fine with it. I always get
if they can afford it, fine. I mean, that's just it. Right. I mean, I think everybody wins if there is a police department. I don't think there's a question about that. I don't think there's anybody arguing that point.
But people it would have saved money. I think it's I think we have a good product. I'm obviously I'm to some degree a business. We put out a product
Yep.
every day, and I want our product to be the best product there is out there.
Mhm.
And other people that have products, other police departments think their product is the best product, and
Yep.
they should think it's the best product. So, but I work very hard every day to make sure our product is well trained, well versed, and fair to everybody. And so I think I have the best product out there.
And no,
As
and that
I
makes
do.
sense. I've always looked at like even churches, and I'm a faith-based man. I believe in our
Yep.
Lord and Savior
There
Jesus
you go.
Christ, and it's fine if other people don't. But that's a business too. Now they're in the business of saving souls. You're in the business of saving lives
Right.
and protect and serve and etc. I have a product too, right? Dryden wire. I think we're the
Right.
best. Just do. Now I'm sure other people would argue that.
Yeah. Right.
But that's fine, right? But again, we all have everything. Really, could be kind of looked at as a business and
Correct.
viewed
It should be,
through that
to a
lens
degree.
of having a product. So, no, I think we've talked about this before. That I'd be shocked in 5 years that we don't start seeing some of these municipalities either kind of joining together, because there's some municipalities that are kind of close to each other where I think you can almost have like one chief kind of over both of them, like two municipalities joining, or some of these municipalities being absorbed into the sheriff's office. I'd be shocked that within 5 years we don't see at least two of them a situation like that happen. I think that's just, and it's not going to be for everybody. And I don't necessarily see a situation where in 10 years it's just the sheriff's office and there are no more. But it makes a lot of sense for a lot of areas.
It all depends on which way that graph grows. Your graph you pointed out is a sticking point to that. If that graph goes up more, then I don't see the conversations like we had in Cameron happening. But if you can't find people to work, what good is it to have a police department?
Yeah.
It's not. They have a police department. We'll fully support their constables. They
Well,
don't. They can do that.
I don't know what a constable is. I thought that was actually like something in England. Seriously, I did.
You could do ordinances. A constable could have ordinances. They don't have law enforcement powers. They just do ordinances.
Yeah, and that's
You're
what I think my dad was
guy.
talking about. That if they did this, so this was like 10 years ago. I think that kind of got kicked around, something about Shell Lake Police Department or something. And I think Dad had brought that up. I don't think he would use the word constable. And if he did, I don't remember. But he's like, just hire an ordinance person,
Right.
right? I mean,
And
you're still saving a lot of money.
Right. You have to have your municipal court then. You have to have a lawyer. All those go into play. Costs go into play. So unless revenue sharing goes up, unless taxes continue to go up, if officers can be found, I don't see
A need.
police departments going away. If I see the number of police officers dropping, if I see that we can't raise taxes anymore, then you look at the most expensive thing in probably any city or village is going to be a law enforcement agency, because that is fully taxable on it. The sheriff's department is the biggest tax base of the county, because we don't get any federal state funding for the most part. Where highways and DHS do. Well, their budgets are bigger. They get a lot more funding to mandate positions, where law enforcement is strictly on the taxpayers of that jurisdiction. So that's what and response time is a factor. It depends. We had an agreement where we were going to hire officers and put them in Cameron, so it would have saved money, and we would have had the response that they required.
If you don't mind, could you actually kind of, I mean, we don't have to spend, we don't have anything else to talk about. So,
We weren't going to talk about this either.
no, I didn't even know about any of this stuff going on. That's why I love
not on my
this. That's why I love the show. It just something comes up, and next thing you know, that's what we end up talking about. So right, I was talking to Warren Tuttle recently. Remember Warren Tuttle? We have a sheriff. Probably will again. Probably will be our next sheriff. I've heard of him. I know the guy.
I think I got a coin that says dumpster fire.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. He was the one that gave us our the strongest steel is forged in the fire of a dumpster.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that was awesome. I was talking to him recently, and I had brought this, that idea up. Not idea up, but this was a topic that we were discussing. Not, he wasn't like pro or con. I was one asking him questions about, in terms of what Larry just brought up, response time. How does that work? He said, "Well, that would be up to the sheriff, right?" So, like Fitzy, decide is it, or maybe an agreement with the municipality that it would be, is it full-time coverage, and what does that look like? Or maybe you can do like a radius, like, okay, we'll always have someone within a 20-mile radius. He goes, it's really, there is no set thing. It's just kind of what's discussed. So what was your wouldn't say proposal, but I can't think of a better word for it. Like, here is what we could do if you wanted to do this. This is how we would handle it. What was that?
We were going to put 12 hours of coverage in there 7 days a week, 365 days a year, which is more coverage than they currently had.
I was going to say that's probably more than they have.
Well, to a degree it is, and it isn't. They had more hours. If they were fully staffed, they would meet those hours. But the chief, he isn't always doing. There's a lot of chief work that goes into being a police chief. You got to do administrative things. They don't give him a secretary. So, Adam was the former chief. He went to Cumberland. He didn't have a secretary. He had to do all of that stuff that I can pass off to my administrative team so that I can do things like this. Otherwise, I couldn't do this if I didn't have that team in place. So police chiefs are at a disadvantage in these smaller departments because they don't have a secretary. They don't have an administrative assistant. They don't have a command staff. So they have to do the chief work. So ours was a straight patrol position because none of that administrative work I do or my team does. And so that's what we had in place. I think it was a cost savings, but again, we're not going to do ordinance violations in some cities and villages. That's very important. And I think it was important in Cameron. I don't think it was the end-all factor because people want to save money. They want to save money in their taxes, or at least take that money you save and put it towards a different project so you don't have to raise taxes. So that's what we did. But again, we fully support their new chief they chose, and we'll fully support him and who he hires, and we'll work with them because they won't be on 24/7. Cameron is not a 24/7 department, so we're still going to have to manage Cameron. It was a great learning experience for all of us. We're working the Village of Cameron now because they don't have a police department right now, so they're paying us at our overtime rate to work there under a short-term agreement, and it's getting our deputies really accustomed to the roads in Cameron. So it's been a huge benefit for the sheriff's department for the future. So I'm glad we did it, and again, we'll support their new chief, and the chief we'll probably meet. Every time a police chief, I think it's my job as the sheriff, because I represent the taxpayers of Barron County, to say, hey, there's a possibility of saving some money here and getting, again, what I consider, again, personal opinion, a better product out there. I'm not saying we are better than everybody else. I think my product is better. So,
and plus, you have there is the flexibility aspect too, right? I mean, if you have a limited number of people, I think, again, I don't know anything about a lot of municipalities. I don't know how many people that Mikey has, Chief Kronberger and Spooner. You've taken most of them.
He's at police staff. No, he can't blame me anymore.
All right. But I don't think, and maybe it's changed now, but they used to be, but no longer 24/7. Maybe they're back up to 24/7. I'm not sure. But Shellek, I think, just has a part-time chief and 2 officers. Then you kind of run into what if someone needs a vacation time, or someone is sick, or where I think that allows a little more flexibility with the sheriff's office, because we've got a lot of people that can fill in that role.
Yeah, and we guaranteed 7 days a week, 12 hours of coverage. I mean, because when we were looking at a short radius, so like a 3-mile radius, because of Larry's point of response time, we can't have somebody in Cumberland saying I'm the Cameron officer. So, and that doesn't make sense. That's not a valid point to the taxpayers of Barron County, no matter what jurisdiction we cover. So, this isn't a new thing. This isn't a takeover thing. This isn't a hey, we presented, we didn't only present our option. We presented all 3 of those options were in our proposal. You can choose to do nothing. You can choose to hire your own, or you can choose to hire us. So we don't just come in and say, we're the only option, hire us, or you're going to, or that's it. Mm-hmm. We talk about all 3 of those options because, again, you represent a district in Washburn County. You don't have all the answers about everything. You don't know everything. You need people like me to educate that. Mm-hmm. So I went in and educated their board on these are your options. These are what you can do. But these are what this option means. You're going to have full control. This option means I'm not doing your ordinances. I don't care how long the grass is. You have to find someone else who cares how long the grass is. So there's negatives to hiring us too. This isn't all sunshine and rainbows, when you hire the sheriff's department. I think it is, because I think we're all sunshine and rainbows, but we're not. I understand that. Yeah. I'm not, so absorbed in myself or in our department that everybody is. We've said that little things make a big difference. We said no one is perfect. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect when we sit here. So all of that goes into play. I have a great relationship with all of the village board members in most of our villages. I don't know them all, but I'm getting to know them all. But I happen to know a lot of them in Cameron, and great group of people that represent Cameron. I think they had a great discussion. I think they looked at all the options. I'm happy with the process. So I can't say that they just walked in and didn't open up their eyes and ears to other options. And so I think what they did was the right way to do it. I will give them a lot of credit for that way.
So did Cameron not have a police department before?
They did, but the police chief left and their officer left at the same time.
So there's only a chief and one officer. That's what
that is what they had.
I understand.
And obviously Cameron went through a tragedy with Hunter and Emily, and that's, what happened. And so that started their
okay. All right.
trend. And then, and Adam Duffin did a great job of getting Cameron through all of that, just like Ron Ambrositis did in Chautauqua. So, I mean, they've done a phenomenal job of getting through something I hope no police chief or sheriff has to deal with. So they did a great job, but as that happened and it comes down to pay. And in that article that's out there, it talks a lot about pay, and there's a lot of statistics in that article about the pay of deputies and officers. And that's where it is right now. It has to do with sheriff's department used to be a sheriff's department, not just ours, used to be, they got the most pay. And then it was the PDs were down here, and then the villages were down here. Well, the villages said, if we're going to keep a village, then we're going to pay what the cities are paying. The cities are saying, if we're going to keep our officers, we're going to pay what the county's paying. And then the village said, well, we got to pay what the county's paying. So I don't think there's, minus a couple of villages, most of us are making the exact same within $1 or $2. I would say every police department is making the same wage within $1 or $2. So I don't think you're leaving the Spooner Police Department to come to the Sheriff's Department for the pay. It has to do with other things. Or you're leaving Cameron to go to a Sheriff's Department, it's for other things. The other officer in Cameron left to go to a Sheriff's Department. Not mine. I didn't take her. So no one can blame me for that.
Well, I think that's really good. And I know I talked to Tracy Finch, and I know you and I both have so much respect for her, the sheriff in Burnett County. And she and I were discussing that, when I say recently, it could have been 3 months ago, I don't remember. We both feel that in a perfect world, a city police officer and a sheriff's deputy should get paid the same. I mean, same as in, obviously there's not tenureship, but how long you've been there, et cetera. But I mean, starting pay kind of a thing. Right. And she said something that I never thought about before, is that especially because there are some officers that really, really, really like working in a city. Some of them hate it because I'm going down the same freaking road all the time, and it gets so bored. And some people kind of want to spread their wings a little bit, right? I want to be able to drive out, in the country, in the back roads. Cops are a little bit different. Some of them like one, and some of them like the other. But you would want them to pick which ones that they are the best at doing and that they want to do based on that, not based on the pay. So she said, I actually think that would be better for reasons that we don't consider, and I did not consider that. What are your thoughts about that?
100% agree. You don't want to pick a job based on pay. You want to pick it on, again, sheriff's departments have a little bit more to offer. We get take-home squads. We have more people, so there's more chances for advancement. If you're at a two-man department and one person's the chief and one person's the assistant chief, there isn't much advancement. I mean, and that's just how it is. But again, it's a starting point or it's an ending point. Some people love to go there and say, I just want to wind my career down and I want to write some speeding tickets and help the few people here in the village, and that'll be great. And so you'll get people that say, me, high octane run 24/7 in 5 years. Maybe I'm like, hey, you know what? The Cameron police chief looks pretty good. It's, 800 people and one meeting a month, and I can do this. I can write some speeding tickets and make sure people are safe and handle the crimes that do come in. So, whatever it is. So, but I don't want people to pick for pay. And I think we're at a good spot in Barron County where I don't think people jump for pay. Some of our villages are a little lower because they just can't afford it. And that's, again, where it comes into play of if you're going to have a police department, you've got to figure out how to pay very similar to police departments and sheriff's departments in your area. So whether that's Shell Lake or Cameron or Turtle Lake or, Amory in Polk County, or Grantsburg and Burnett County. They can't play this game where I'm going to be the Grantsburg, and some people do it. I'm going to be the Cameron officer. We've hired many people from Cameron that started in Cameron and came to the Sheriff's Department, started in Rice Lake, came to the Sheriff's Department, started in Spooner, came to the Sheriff's Department. It wasn't because I'm out there recruiting. I got hit up at a city council meeting. I wasn't named, but it was inferred that I was very unethical in my hiring practices. I think Mikey would probably think that I agree. I didn't know the two people we took from Mikey. Okay. My guys are my recruiters. I love when my department recruits for itself. Hey, come work for us. This is a great place to work. That makes me feel good, and I'm going to say, hey, so-and-so from Spooner PD wants to work here. I'm like, tell them to apply. I don't pick the people. I have a committee that picks the people. And sometimes I call them and say, hey, I heard you're interested. I think we have a great department. I hope you apply. I don't promise them nothing. There's no unethical hiring practices there. I was pretty disappointed in that city council and the chief that made some comments. But that's their opinion. They're frustrated. I understand it. But don't take it out. I didn't fill out the application and stick it under their windshield and say, all you got to do is sign here. I filled it all out for you. That's not how the hiring process works. But your guys are your guys and gals that work for you are your biggest recruiters, and they should be.
They should be.
I think that's awesome that they are.
Well, going back to the pay aspect of it, one of the things that Tracy and they got it tough over there in Burnett County. They just do. Because you and I just got finished talking about how municipalities in a county should be paying, roughly or perfect world the same amount as the sheriff's department. But we also it'd be great if all of the sheriff's offices and sheriff's departments were actually on the same as well, because there's a discrepancy there between the sheriff's deputy in Burnett and the sheriff's deputy in Polk. Mm-hmm. That's a lot. That money is. Hopefully there's no Burnett County sheriff's deputies listening right now. And if so, put your earmuffs on. They pay a lot more in Polk County, which is just not, it's a border county right below you, a lot more money. And that's a bummer, right? So I kind of wish that they were a little bit more. So, again, I think the goal here behind all this is to have the person, the officer, being in the place that they want to be and not leaving to go to somewhere else just because of the pay. They'd want to do it for other reasons, which could be advancement, like you were talking about. Could be to take home a squad, but also not leaving from Burnett, go to Polk or to Barron. Because you want to keep these people as long as you can, because these are the ones that know your communities the best. So the more turnover you have there, the more people that leave, it's actually, speaking of product, it hurts your product, because you don't know that county as well as the person that was there before for 10 years.
Jeff Wallace is a very good friend of mine. We talk all the time. I've taken a couple of his deputies, and the way we've done that is changing our hiring practices to say, you know what, you can take your squad home if you live within 10 miles of the county line. Well, the deputies that lived within 10 miles said, I'm jumping ship for $5 more an hour. So, and if you look at why Polk had to raise their rate, because St. Croix had to raise their rate because the Minnesota rate went up. So Polk said, I'm losing all my deputies in St. Croix. So now Barron County's got to say, well, we better stay in line with Polk, or a lot of our guys are going to say, I can drive 10 miles. I'll drive to Polk County and work for $5 more an hour. The same thing, the reason Russ did that. So, we've taken a couple of Russ
trickle-down effect.
It's a very, and that's why I say we got to run this like a business to a degree. Yeah. It is a business. I manage a $10 million budget. It is a business, but government isn't run like a business. Some days it should be, some days it shouldn't be, but you've got to find that balance in government.
Yeah. And then you have Burnett County where they just won't pay anybody anymore. Anyway, hey, Pete. Oh, my goodness, Pete Johnson. I love that guy. Speaking of sheriffs, former sheriff from Polk County, turnover is expensive. 100%. Maybe even more than giving a little bit more wages. That is true. I have run businesses 100%. Almost my whole adult life before I started riding one. And it didn't matter what the business is. It was a Blockbuster. It was a car dealership. It was a Pop Murphy's take. But the number one thing, man, turnover kills you. My goodness. And we could do a whole show just about the impacts of that. It's ridiculous.
And we did it here. We did that. We got our raises up in our dispatch in our jail because that was the downfall. We were struggling there, and we said, you know what? These people are worth more, so let's make it worthwhile. We don't have the turnover, and right now we're knock on wood, signed, sealed, and delivered. So, and people understand law enforcement more. I think this show, the reason we do this show every week is so people understand what law enforcement sees and hears and has to deal with. And it's helped people understand that, man, these people get spit on and swore at. And some guy just called and left a message for our what is it now? One of our county departments that owes money. So, and child support.
Oh,
and
sure.
Was just swearing at the lady and demanded a call back. And if we don't get a call back, I'm calling the president of the United States and he's going to call and swear at you. And I'm like, all right, I'm like,
see if he wants to come on the show. The president when he calls you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Donnie.
And so what people have to go through and deal with can't happen. We have to treat people better. We've tried to humanize law enforcement, and we've done a very, very good job of that. And people like you have helped us do that, so I appreciate that.
Oh, of course. That's what it's all about, man. It's all about Fitzy and law enforcement. But I do try to do my part. I really do.
Yeah. And you do. We appreciate it. And all the people, all the supporters that watch the show. I mean, Larry's a huge supporter. Dirk's a huge supporter. Every one of our people that comment are huge supporters of law enforcement. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't watch the show. Because, although last week we had probably some haters.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's I don't remember her name now. But I don't think she particularly cared for law enforcement.
Yeah, but those questions are good to answer sometimes. We don't all have to be. It's not all sunshine and roses, so we're okay with answering some tough questions once in a while. Anyway, we didn't have a lot to talk about. We sure went.
And we ended up talking about, So when is, just to put a bow on that then, Cameron, when do they officially become a thing?
We're doing the background check for them. So we're working on the background check for them. We're doing that free of charge for them because we said we'll support you. I'm their sheriff too. Even though they have their own police department, I represent the village of Cameron too. So those people I work for those people too. So I said, do you need help? We'll do the background check. You don't have somebody to do the background check. We'll do that free of charge. So our captain's doing that background check for him. It's going to turn out the guy's a rock solid deputy in another county. So it'll be fine. The background, and they'll have a police chief at the next, my guess is 2 weeks.
All right. Speaking of 24/7, we're talking about that. Rice Lake's 24/7.
Correct.
Is there another?
Barron and Cumberland.
Wait, Cumberland's 24/7?
Cumberland is 24/7.
Really?
Yep. And Barron is 24/7.
Barron also surprises me being 24/7. Plus, you have the sheriff's department right there.
Chautauqua is almost, but not quite. And Cameron and Turtle Lake are not.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, again, maybe Spooner has changed now that the full staff. Maybe that has changed.
I would guess Spooner is. I think
well, they used to be, but then they weren't because there's a staffing. I don't know if they went back. So I have no idea. But Birchwood isn't. Minong isn't. Shell Lake isn't. I'd be surprised. Well, then again, I don't know. I should find out just my own curiosity. Like is Siren and Grants? I don't think a lot of those are either.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to guess that most municipalities aren't 24/7.
Right. No, most aren't. So
interesting. Wow.
Ladysmith is in Rusk County, but that's the only police department in Rusk County.
Yeah, Rusk is weird. It's like they have Ladysmith, and that's it.
They have one.
Yeah, right.
One police chief to do it. I have 6. Yeah. So not that that's bad, but it's good, but it creates some problems once in a while. So.
All right, well, here's our official weather forecast. Sorry about that, Dirk, last week, forgetting to put that up. 5-day forecast. Highs 0 to 5 today. It's going to get warm. Okay, looks like Friday, but then again, a little bit of snow. That's fine. Looks like it'll get warmer, but oh my goodness, that's going to be chilly tonight.
Yep, and cold right now. So,
but at least there's some sun in there. That's good. Thank you very much, Dirk, for that. And you can go to his page, Dirk Mailer. I mean, he commented, so just click on it and go to him. Anything weather-related, go to him. Something here from Wayne. Anytime you deal with the public, you get the nice ones, and then you get the crazy ones. I personally think officers should get out once in a while and meet the public so the community kind of knows them and feels comfortable talking 100%. To them. And I agree about that, and I'm sure you do too.
We are the best. I think we're the best at community policing in Barron County. And we do, you can invite us anywhere and we'll show up. So,
and even if you don't invite us, we'll probably show up anyway.
If you're really loud and obnoxious will show up too.
Yeah. If Fitzy knows about it, then he'll probably be there. Speaking of, I want to go back to this. Patty had put something up earlier. Need a conversation. Senior dining site.
Yes.
Dining site?
Dining
Maybe
site.
Night?
Site. Oh, it's
site.
the dining site.
So
Lana's
what is
Cafe Thursdays. Patty runs that. Well, she doesn't run it. Well, she does run it. ADRC runs it, but Patty's the big champion behind the ADRC dining sites. It's a pretty much statewide recognized. We have the best dining sites around. Kind of like our library. I'm on the library. I got a library meeting tonight. Our best library. We can check out books. We got a library checkout thing where even when you're closed, you can get your books now. So that's how great our library is.
Well, all I know is that Spooner has the Librarian of the Year, by the way. And that was directly due to us, if you recall. That was, we were the ones that got that done.
Yeah, we got that for her. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right. It says, excuse me, Larry Olson says that Birchwood is 40 hours. What does that mean?
They have patrol. The chief up there is 40 hours.
So not 24/7 coverage.
Not 24/7.
Right, that's what I thought. Patty says coffee servers.
Yeah, that's
what about it?
I haven't been up there to serve coffee in a while. She's shaming me into serving coffee, so now I got to put that on my calendar.
Well, now you have to. Right, awesome, yeah. Patty. You can chime in anytime you want. Just volunteer from everything. That would be great.
Right.
Because you know how many things that Fitzy has volunteered me for? I mean, we still spend like 1,000 hours a year on Mike Schaefer's Spooner Held golf outing, and it all started because Fitzy's the one that brought it up. So like now we have to. So please volunteer him for things.
I don't have a Thursday the rest of the month, but I'll put it on my March calendar.
So. All right. What do you have coming up this week?
Library meeting, hockey, Valentine's Day on Friday. Don't forget.
Oh. Again? We just did one.
You bought her a car, though.
For a birthday, yeah. Oh, and I saw you down there. Yeah, I saw you last Wednesday. Yeah.
Bought her at Links in Rice Lake next to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Got her a new Jeep.
Yes, we got her in a new Jeep Grand Cherokee.
There you go.
And we were going to get something this summer, but honestly, it was the tariff thing that I'm like, well, if we're going to do it this summer, maybe we move up the timeline because I don't know what that's going to look like, right? And even right there on the thing on the Jeep Grand Cherokee, it says engine made in Mexico. Well, that would be a place that's the 25%, and it's, I don't know. I'm not trying to scare anybody to go do it. And again, we knew we were already doing it this summer. We just kind of moved up that timetable a little bit.
Right.
Barron County has 3 sites in the top 50. I don't know what we're talking about yet.
That's the dining sites. That's our dining sites. We do dining sites for seniors. Senior dining.
Okay.
We have 3 sites in the top 50 in the state. So
what does that? So what does it do?
It's just go there and it's conversation for seniors. It's a cheap meal. It gets people out of their house and gets you connected with other people in your community. It's a great, unbelievable thing.
I've never heard of it.
Jen Jaco was on and talked a little bit about it when we had Jen Jaco on here.
I remember when she came on. Did she bring that up?
She brought that up. I don't think we were rated then. Now we're the best in the state. That's all we got to say.
Well, Patty needs to send us a press release about that. Send us some info. We'll put it on Dryden. I'm just saying, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like seriously, County has 3 sites in the top 50 in the state. Please send us, Patty. No kidding. Yeah. DrydenWire@gmail.com. Send us information on that. We'll put up a story on that. That's freaking awesome.
Right.
3 in the top 50.
Yeah.
We're
legit. Awesome. We need to toot our horn more. I agree. Patty does a great job of tooting our horn, but everybody needs to, not just us. Everybody needs to toot their horn a little bit more. But be thankful for what you do have. So
I agree.
That's the message of the day.
Thanks, Fitzy.
You bet.
All right, man. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden. You've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors with 20 years and Patty Anderson. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitz and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call today. See what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen. 715-520-2271. I will see all of you at 8:30 a.m. on Facebook, on our Dryden Wire Facebook page this Thursday with Congressman Tom Tiffany, and then on Friday with DPI Superintendent candidate Brittany Kinzer at 8:30 on Friday. Fitzy and I, of course, will see all of you back here next Tuesday. So until then, thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.